Hi! So are you struggling with the SAT's critical reading section? Well, today I'm going to help you totalize that section. So we are not going to be focusing on simple questions which ask you for things in the passage and then they ask you for the reference where you got the answer. No, we are going to be focusing on the real deal, the questions which determine the SAT curve. And I guarantee you that after these few minutes, you will be able to raise that score. So what I want you to do now is to take a pen and a notepad and let's get started. So let's start by looking at the big picture question. So this is a question which will ask you to identify which statement best summarizes the passage or section of the passage. Or this question may ask you to recognize the author's main point or their central claim. So normally the topic appears in the introduction, and if you're not sure where to get it, just check the first statement because it is a good point to start. Then if you don't find it in the introduction, go to the second paragraph. In the first line of the second paragraph, that is where you can get it. That is if you don't find it in the introduction. So this is the thing, guys. This is the critical reading section. You don't have time. If a question asks you to identify the topic of the passage, just go either in the introduction. If you don't find it in the introduction, the first line of the second paragraph, tick that one and move on. So a main point is the overarching idea. It is an argument that answers the question, so what? Why does the author think the topic is important? So what happens is the author sometimes directly states the main point in the introduction or in the first line of the second paragraph, and then again for iterations purposes in the conclusion. So guys, if you see the introduction is concurring with the conclusion, that is the main point. You don't have time. If a question asks for the main point, just tick the what is concurring here and in the conclusion and move on. So this is the most important thing in the critical reading section, to know the main point, because it will save you a lot of time. For some questions, you won't need to go back to the question to the passage. I mean, you won't need to go back to the passage to check whether the answers are correct or what. You'll just be eliminating maybe because they don't make sense according to the main point. So be sure to know the main point. It will save you a lot of time. So sometimes you might be asked to find the main point of just a paragraph, not the whole thing. So now this is different because before we're looking at the main point of the whole passage, now just the main point of a certain paragraph. Moving on, let's now look at the they say, I say kind of a passage, which we usually call a conversational passage. So these are usually common in the science or social science passages, where you see a passage starting like, people used to believe A, now they believe B. That is a conversational passage. So why a conversational passage? I want to give you a background. So unlike what we do in high school where we write for grades and all those kind of stuff, professional writers write because they have a reason, because they want to refute an argument, because they want to put a point or to correct something which was previously believed in. So although some authors might state flat out that a particular fact is wrong, some authors might not do that. So this is how they do it. They use what we call skepticism. Skepticism, they can employ it in two ways. The first, they put some words in quotation marks. For example, words like imply, suggest, support. They can say in the last decades, scientists believe that, scientists supported the claim that. They won't use proved, because proved would mean that they agree with that claim, which will not make sense. Then the second one, they will use rhetorical questions. They will ask themselves like, say, but is that really the case, or is that really true? So this is the most important thing when you're doing these kinds of passages, because that is where the point of the passage is. Don't care much about the they say part of the passage, because usually the introduction and maybe up until line 45, which is half of the passage, it will only about the they say part. Don't pay much attention to it. The most important part is the I say part, which you will see by those words. For example, they will use however, recent studies have shown that, or nowadays we believe that, or those kind of stuff. That is where the main point of the passage will lie. So you need to know the I say part of the passage, the main point. The they say is not important. That will be at the start, and then the passage will have a turning point. There will be a point where the passage changes. Usually, like I said, they'll use words like however, or but is that really the case? Because the recent studies have shown that. The most important thing to understand about a question like this is the question is not asking the order in which the event happened within the passage, but the question is asking for the order in which the events actually occurred. I'm going to repeat that again because this is the point that confuses students. I said this kind of question is not asking you for the order of events within the passage, but it is asking you for the order in which the events actually occurred. So I'm going to give you a scenario, my own design, because what happens with these kinds of questions is they at the start of the passage, at the beginning, they'll give you what is happening in the recent time, and then in the second paragraph the passage will bring you a flashback, which is a reflection of what happened before. So this is the scenario. Listen very carefully. The first paragraph of my scenario, there's a lady there. She's now thinking of divorcing her husband because they've had problems. Then in the second paragraph, my scenario is like this. The lady is thinking of the day the guy proposed to her, how great it was and everything, blah, blah, blah. So now the question comes, asking me for the order of events. So the answer to this question is the proposal, because this is the order of events in which it actually occurred. The first thing was the proposal. Then I don't know what happened afterwards. Then after that, now she's thinking of the divorce. But in the passage, the divorce is the first, and then the proposal second. So if you choose the divorce, it is wrong, because like we said, the question is asking for the order or sequence in which the events actually occurred. The first thing was the proposal. So be very careful. Choose the things that happened first in actual terms, not according to the passage. So thank you so much guys for watching. Now I want you to go back and raise that score, like the video, and also comment. Give me suggestions on what you want me to present, especially for you if you're having problems. I'm here to help you guys. And don't forget to subscribe so that I keep bringing you these good videos. So until next time, good luck.